Well, why the system is getting ready for fascism? Because there is not possible for whistleblowers who will expose crimes to be able to speak, because there is not a Bill of Rights in which technologies that are invisible continue being applied to civilians, and there are secret laws that most likely have been based on the White Australia policy. So this avoid the kind of feedback loops in which updates are made in order, let's say, to keep a fair society, huh? Australia advanced fair. So then whistleblowers now are criminalized if they pass information to the media. And if the media receive that information, then it becomes a criminal act. Then there is already a process in which whistleblowers can go through it, but this process seems to be rather something that hinders the possibility to be more open about corrections in the system. So the corrective measures cannot be taken. In the other hand, we will have the Bill of Rights that, given the technology that I have been explaining in another videos, is a technology that cannot be seen. Only the person itself experiences it, and if this technology explodes, let's say, a kind of duality in which, let's say, if I hit my small finger in my feet, then I will have an exponential amount of pain that is induced, and I will think that that pain that I feel, even if it is exacerbated, is happening because I hit my finger. No, but eventually I hit my finger, it might be painful, but the pain that I should feel is not as exacerbated as it feels. Then this is how this kind of technology works. And it has been happening to me for about 8 years in several ways. Let's say one of the most important things is that I have to take a medication, but technically I have to take it, but I don't have any illness, so my illness is kind of induced. So the medication that I take is to kill myself every day, and eventually that's what they want. When you take antipsychotics, it lowers every single kind of process in your body that will create energy. Let's say lowers your digestive system, lowers your reaction to temperature, and also increases things like the sugar levels, etc. So then also one of the medications gives you a little bit of hunger, but this kind of technology exacerbates the hunger a lot. So what they do is like they make me feel really hungry, and when I'm about to sleep, they wake me up. And then they make me feel really hungry, and when I'm about to sleep, they wake me up. And this continues going sometimes for hours. And sometimes the hunger that I feel is so much, and they start to mix it with a kind of nervous kind of interference in my legs and in my arms, in which I feel very, very uneasy, very uncomfortable, will pain, and it feels like painful needles. When I asked the first time this to the psychiatrist, it couldn't make sense. She said, no, this antipsychotic doesn't give you any pain. So I thought that was something else, but no, eventually I realized that it was also induced by the technology, as this pain was continuing appearing in other places and is very focused, and it doesn't make sense when you revise the area, so it's nothing that eventually you feel. Now, eh, if I don't take the medication, then I start to have a stimulation in this part of the brain, so it feels that kind of magnetism is applied that keeps me wake up. So let's say at this time of the day I will start to feel tired, I'm awake, but once I start to, let's say, go almost through the night, let's say 6, 7 p.m., there is no light, when I'm supposed to start to feel tired the most, then I start to feel active the most. At the beginning, I was thinking that it would be related to the antipsychotics training or leaving my body. But now it is too noticeable that the antipsychotics could be draining slowly through the day, but there is a point in time in the afternoon in which I feel fully awake. And it's a lot of, let's say, stimulation that will keep me awake, and I can go days without sleeping unless I take my medication. Once I take my medication, that stimulations go away, and then I can go to sleep. This stimulation is electromagnetic stimulation. But again, this is my experience. I'm saying that this will make sense in the future. I'm not trying to spread misinformation or any kind of, let's say, uh, something that will be fake news or anything like that. But telling this as a bitachora because this will be so obvious in the future when everyone understands how AI works. So in the future, we'll be hopefully aware of how this kind of technology works. So then, yeah, let's say I'm in a position in which I never work with the government, I never work with any secret agency, I don't never swear an oath, and mm, not related with any kind of job. Um, let's say when you do the citizenship, swear an oath. When you go to a university, sometimes you swear an oath. But otherwise, no, no political party, no ideology, no anything like that. So why I'm saying this is because yeah, whistleblowers need a kind of situation in which they will be able to talk about wrongdoings happening. And these wrongdoings should reach the media because otherwise, what is the media? The media is to challenge power. The media has a role in society, which is communicate, alert, distribute information to the citizens, and put them on top of the most important political situations that would, let's say, concern them. Yeah. Ahora, so sorry. So the whistleblowers doesn't have a mechanism in which they could do this safely because otherwise they will be criminalized, and if they don't have this feedback loop that at least could be internal, then a lot of lives can be at risk and a lot of abuses can happen and will continue happen because no one can talk about what's going on to me, what's happening to me. And ideally, the pressure and the truth will grow inside the intelligence community because in my mind, there has been already 12 years in which this has been happening to me. Yeah, and I'm someone who always has been very passionate for social sciences, etc. So I know that my case will not be unnoticed, but by more of one person. So it means that as time passes, this will become an internal situation, not just in Australia, but in different countries. Yeah, because the persons that might be doing this and they have access to, let's say, this kind of talks, this kind of, let's say, my daily living, they will notice that the information that they have do not matches why they are doing what they are doing. So I would say they should not expose themselves even if they are demoralized and feel what is happening to them, but ideally pressure will come from the sides as, let's say, other persons from the community start to know, and pressure from the base, yeah, in which we can extrapolate a truth. And this truth is, let's say, what you see internally, and they combine with this kind of bitacoras of information that is about my only experience of life, especially the one that I have had during the last 12 years. This will be necessarily the only thing that we will need to wrap up whatever is holding back the truth. Whatever is making an opposition, whatever is this kind of evil. Because let's not be naive. My ex-girlfriend had an reason. When I was with my first girlfriend here in Australia, she started to have headaches and I started to have convulsions. Yeah, and these convulsions I would have them whilst being awake, and it's impossible that you will be conscious and aware whilst having a convulsion. Yeah, so technically it's like having an electric shock. This is torture, and right now, yeah, it's a kind of sadism because they try to make me or push me. They try to push me in a situation in which I will do an indiscriminate attack against society. So I'm supposed to have been violent and succumb to the pressure of being days after day in a situation in which I was not able to sleep. I was hearing voices that will be very humiliating and will degrade me every day, and also will try to trigger me, but in ways that they will not impose fear, but rather anger. So I was feeling that I was supposed to feel anger against society, and being in that way, I remember that I was thinking, okay, definitely there is other people that doesn't know psychoanalysis, as I have read, that will not be able to read and sustain this kind of um, a study of their own feelings in such manner that they wouldn't attack the society. Yeah. So I do believe the Bondi massacre could have happened in that way, but I'm not saying that this is something that is true. I'm saying this is the only experience that I have had. Yeah. This my experience. I have experience. Yeah. But I'm saying when I see what happened in the Bondi massacre, when I see what the guy was doing, the kind of post that they were seeing, a little bit of what was released about him, I see myself because technically that's what I was experiencing. Yeah, this guy was also sane, and he was feeling good after he left his medication. But once he left the medication, technically I do believe one of these operations will work in the way in which they are strategically choosing a moment in which they will again restart the attacks, and then will drive the person mad because this person feels disoriented, in fear, with anger, not understanding reality because what you hear is overwhelming. Let's say today, the voices, yesterday, today, before yesterday, the voices had been louder than the sounds of the music, than the sounds of what I hear from the people. Yeah, and this is something unbelievable. Usually, when you cannot hear the other people, is the stages in which I was at that time in the hospital because nothing makes sense. But now I know what's happening. So it's difficult to keep my concentration. Technically impossible. I cannot study. I cannot read. To do these videos is kind of difficult. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm able sometimes to have points in which I could concentrate more, and also even strengthening my concentration. And one proof of this is that now I'm gonna go back to the whistleblowers. Why the whistleblowers are essential? Because there is not a bill of rights. Yeah? And not having a bill of rights and having this kind of technology applied to the people means that the technology cannot be seen, cannot be proved, that it doesn't leave a trace, there is not evidence. So as long as this technology is not caught, it's legal and can be applied. Yes, and because there are no whistleblowers, and because whistleblowers are illegal, if someone say anything, that person who should be the hero becomes the criminal. Yeah, and there must be a relationship between these kind of laws and not having a Bill of Rights in the same way. So why this is obvious? Because it seems to be also a system that is going to a kind of fascism in which it's going to deny the reality of other people. As I say, this technology cannot be technically controlled and hijacks a lot of the parts of technically the whole of your mm, neurological system and nervous system. So the Bill of Rights, even if Australia has international conventions, will not tell to any agency, secret agency, enforcing agency, or military body that they are doing something wrong, because they simply, under the law, there is nothing that will say that they are doing any wrongdoing. And this must be demoralizing, and this will be pressing for them. Also, well, one of the most important things about this technology is that not having privacy in your brain means that they are messing up with the dynamics of communication of humans, which was developed for thousands of years. Because there has not been another kind of communication technology or means of communication in which privacy is not there. Then, if you're going to send a message, you could be thinking about something else. And people seeing this cannot differentiate in which what is a fantasy, what is an enjoyment, yeah? What the person means, what the person wants to project, what the person wants to hide, what is what the person wants to put outside. So I let's say I'm someone who likes the rock, yeah. Um, the rock talks about several things, many things, whatever is that, yeah. But then it means that every single song is about me, it's about how I think, it's about my ideology, it's simply a piece of art. If I go to a museum and I look at a paint and I like the paint, is the paint myself? Is the paint saying something about me? Yeah? Or is something is talking about the artist? It's talking about the, let's say in the brain, it would be, so if they are talking about the past, is my past, is who I am, is what I think, what is what I concert, is what I want to project, is where, let's say, I'm stuck with the knowledge that I know, or is simply at the place in which I am knowing what I know. Yeah? So this cannot be interpreted by anyone because you are not sending any message. The message that you send will, by fact,